this is really for people, it could be for people that are, ramping up. Maybe let's say they got 5 or so deals under their belt, and they really love it, and they're stoked for 2022. They really, really want to, double, triple, quadruple their, output. Or maybe you're already there. Maybe you had an amazing 2021 and the deals were coming fast and furious, and you just kept locking and loading and away you went, right?
What's going on YouTube? It's Lynn Matheson here, aka the Canadian Cottage Girl, and welcome to the Canadian Real Estate channel, where we're going to actually break down today the things that you need to know going into 2022. There's 3 top things that you cannot go into 22 without knowing. You don't want to miss this one. And today we're joined by Ryan Carson from Carson Law. Welcome to the channel, Ryan.
Oh, it's great to be back.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure that if you like today's video, that you smash the like button and make sure that you throw some love in the comments. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you like this great Canadian real estate content. Well, let's break them down. So we've got 3 little tidbits that you guys do not want to miss out on. Let's start from the top here.
Perfect. Yeah. So one thing that we're seeing trending out of 2021 and into 2022 is a lot of real estate investors, especially investors that are looking to scale. Maybe they've got a couple smaller multi-res, single-family BRRRR projects kind of on the go, that sort of thing, or they've dabbled with some assignments and flips and so forth. But now now they're hungry. Now they really want to scale and grow and get bigger. But you're finding, my pool of capital is kind of shrinking up, or I've got to find another way. I've kind of tapped out my JV partners. A lot of people are moving on the bigger scaled projects to what are called GPLP structures. Okay. So it's a general partnership, limited partner process. And just very simply put, what you have is you've got kind of that, we'll call it the managing partner that you would have seen in your JV agreement, trying to find all these money partners, but now you've got them as a general partner, and then limited partners are the money investors. Oh, okay. And so it's basically creating a partnership agreement, which lawyers will do for you, just like a JV agreement, but you create this partnership, and the great thing is the partners, both the general partners and the limited partners, can be either corporations, people, like individual persons, or trusts even. Okay. So there's a lot of different layers and levels that come into this too, that can help people even right off the hop, because they're doing it through corporations, they're doing it through trusts and that kind of thing. There's some tax planning they can get benefits of right off the hop too. But essentially what you've got is an injection of your money partners into the general partnership, into this partnership agreement, that the general partner manages. Sometimes the general partner even has a management company, so you can see yourself just spinning more and more revenue or fees, right? Yeah. And then the overall partnership itself owns the property through a corporation. We call it a nominee corp. Okay. So that's the basic kind of structure. Nominee corp owns the property, partnership is the owner of the corporation, and then you've got the general partner through his management company kind of operating, managing, and seeing the process happen, and then you've got all these plugged in investors as limited partners. So their liability is limited too, which they like, right? As opposed to with the JV, sometimes it can be limited, but with the most common JV that you see, the money partner is typically the one on the mortgage. Yeah. They get the benefit of being on title, but the issue is they're fully liable now and exposed to the mortgage. Right. Whereas with this limited partner, GP partner process through the partnership agreement, a great benefit that you have is you're limited to your liability. You're just going to be out your investment, really, right, if the whole thing, didn't work out. Right? Because it's going to be that nominee corp and so forth, and the general partner who's going to be giving the guarantee to the lender. So you're really just an investor. So what you need to really be careful about in this kind of structure that's different from the JV, you have to make sure you're compliant with securities laws and regulations.
Okay.
Because now you are actually investing. Like you as the general partner who's selling the units or the opportunity to be in this general partnership, you have to make sure you're compliant or under an exemption to the Ontario Security Commissions. Okay. Because you're essentially selling security, you're selling an investment, right? And there's certainly ways to do that. There's a whole list of exemptions and ways to help you fall into that exemption, so you don't, nobody wants to obviously do this structure and have to then become OSC compliant and so forth. Nobody's going to want to do that, because that's a whole other layer of costs and everything that you're not going to want to take on. So there's lots of exemptions and ways for that to happen. We at Carson Law, we don't have somebody in-house, but we work very closely with a securities lawyer who always kind of reviews and vets our clients' proposals for these GPLP structures to make sure the clients know this is where you're exposed, this is where you're fine, this is your exemptions, and then we let the clients obviously kind of run with it and take it from there, and we do what we can to insulate for them, right?
Got it.
But it's a great opportunity. It gives people the ability to really go en masse and literally just go to the public and say, hey, look, I've got this opportunity that you can invest in. I need you to just give me, here's your level A investment, level B investment, level C investment, and different phases for people to get in at. But at the end of the day, you don't have to know them at all, right? There doesn't have to be like that, arm's length component or anything. It can just be you're surfing the net, you find this opportunity, it looks like a great investment, just like investing in like Walmart shares or something, and boom, I want to do it. This looks fantastic. It looks like it's right at my, comfort level, right?
Absolutely.
So for your investor, it's really opening up the opportunity in 2022 to really go after a humongous, pool of money. Whereas right now everybody just kind of tries to go like, well, I know this person's helped you out. Would you like to work with me? Mm-hmm. It's almost like related. You're trying to find related money all the time. Right. Whereas here, with a GPLP structure, it doesn't have to be like that at all. It's just literally anybody could find your offering, which is really what you're doing here. You're doing an offering, and boom, they want to work on trying to invest in it. Absolutely.
Right? That's awesome. So pro tip number one for going into 2022 is if you've done a JV agreement already in 2021, level up by doing a GPLP and talk to your lawyer today. Number two, let's jump right into it. What you got for us?
Yeah, so number two, this is really for people, it could be for people that are, ramping up. Maybe let's say they got like, 5 or so deals like under their belt, and they really love it, and they're stoked for 2022. They really, really want to, double, triple, quadruple their, output. Or maybe you're already there. Maybe you had an amazing 2021 and the deals were coming fast and furious and you just kept locking and loading and away you went, right? At the beginning of the year, take a second to step back, I think, and do some planning before you get too far down the rabbit hole and realize, hey, I've been doing all this great stuff. I've been making all this great money. I've got lots of deals coming and coming and coming. Make sure you've got great planning for yourself from a business and tax standpoint. Because as you scale, it becomes harder and harder as you get bigger and bigger to then like turn it all back, rewind it, so to speak, right? And so if you do this proactive planning all up front, hopefully the benefit will be that the plan grows with you, with how aggressive you want to be. And that would be the hallmark of like having a good business and tax plan. Work with lawyers who are investors themselves, like us. Work with accountants, and we know a bunch. If you're not working with somebody who's also like a tax advisor, as well as a real estate investor, they're out there for sure, and it's going to help you a lot because they're going to be able to relate to you, right? But if you get a really good tax advisor, they're going to see what your year ahead you want to do is. They're going to have a plan for that. Then they're going to say, okay, where do you want to go in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years, right? And they're going to be basically making this plan for you so that, you know, you say, yeah, I love it. That fits with exactly what I want to do. The plan can grow with me.
Yeah.
Lawyer, now it's your turn to create the corporate structure. Or it could be a combination of corporate and family trust structure. Because here's something for everybody to realize and know. Right now the problem is the government is taking away opportunity, right? They are trying to minimize because they need money. They're looking for money, right? So they're taking away corporate benefits that used to be there from a tax planning standpoint and succession standpoint. They're taking away, you know, just savings that you would have at those levels.
Yep.
And so what you want to do for 2022 is talk to your accountant and to your lawyer, make sure some of those options you've maybe already set up for are not closing. Those doors aren't, you know, those opportunities and doors aren't closing on you or being taken away. If they are, because there are some changes coming, you might find that, hey, I better do this option right now. It's 5 years earlier than I wanted, but boom, let's do it, right? Take advantage of what you can right now. Most of these tax advisors will have a plan B strategy to get you right back in, so you're back on like the efficient tax planning game plan.
Absolutely.
Right? But you don't want to lose an option if it's only going to be around right now, you know, kind of till the end of 2021, early 2022, right?
Right.
So definitely talk to your tax advisor, whether you're completely new to it or whether you have something in play. Don't think that it's bulletproof. Like, go get that refresher with your tax accountant or your tax advisor, because there are changes coming and you don't want to lose out on the opportunity from a tax or a corporate or business planning point of view.
Absolutely. I love that. So pro tip from your lawyer number 2 is make sure that you actually do some planning with your power team. So sit down with your lawyer, sit down with your accountant, understand what your goals are. So when you're coming all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed from your New Year's resolution and what your whole big plans are for 2022, you want to make sure you can actually implement those things and that you're not missing out on opportunity with things changing in terms of legislation or different products or services that you might not have access to going forward. So make sure that you have that meeting and sit down and do some game planning and business planning with your power team, with your lawyer, and with your accountant. Love that. What's your pro tip number 3?
So pro tip number 3, a lot of people are aware of sort of the 3-tier structure, which a lot of other real estate investment groups, you know, always talk about. And I'm not saying the 3-tier structure is not, you know, applicable still. I'm not saying it's not the right way to go. It's always, you know, very case by case dependent and specific. But because of these changes that you're going to be seeing that have already happened and that are coming down the pipeline with changes to corporate law and tax law and so forth, there's been an influx, at least from what I'm seeing from our tax advisors, in the recommendation to do a combination of corporate structure with family trusts.
Okay.
And so family trusts, you know, are great because, you know, part of the business plan can be how to factor in obviously your corporate structure, but tying it into the family trusts. And family trusts give you like estate planning options, succession planning options with your business as it grows and as you maybe approach, you know, retirement years or whatever the case might be, or you want people to buy into it and so forth. So they create a lot of other options that were very common with corporations, but as I've alluded to, the corporate abilities and benefits and options are starting to dwindle and get restricted. And so having the combination of corporations and family trust becoming huge. And so getting an opinion from your accountant on, hey, is a family trust right for me? Can I benefit from it? Can it save me money? Can it reduce the payments I'm making to the government on tax payments? Can it allow for better, you know, flow through of, you know, capital investments down the road? You know, if I die suddenly, does it help supplement and or replace sort of a traditional will component? So all of these sort of aspects of planning, can really be flushed out with a look at corporate versus family trust versus them combined together, and whether or not that's the right structure for you, or is the traditional three-tiered structure the right corporate structure for you, or is there a third option that we have to just look at to figure out case by case.
Absolutely. So family trust, there's a big opportunity there, as you see in 2022. Now, corporate structure, I can understand the premise to an extent of what that might look like. What exactly is a family trust? Just high level, breaking that down for maybe someone like me who's just heard the word for the first time. Let's break it down from that perspective of like what the benefits are from a family trust and what exactly it is.
Yeah, so a family trust, or a trust, it's just like a corporation. It's recognized under law, both legally and from a tax point of view. It's its own legal entity. So it can exist on its own, just like we're existing as people, just like a corporation legally exists by itself, as it's created through documentation. So it's its own legal entity, and essentially with a trust, a family trust, the whole premise is to try to put put a group of select assets or all of your assets into it. So the family trust ends up owning as much of what you have as possible, and then under the umbrella of a trust or the shelter of a trust, now those assets are treated differently from a tax standpoint. Maybe several years ago, people might reflect and remember there was income trusts. Right. That were very popular, but only for a moment, because the high net worth individuals immediately jumped on this opportunity because there was a massive loophole there, a massive opportunity for savings, right, and wealth movement and so forth. And the government very quickly kind of closed the door on that because they realized what was open there, and so income trusts are not possible really anymore, right, or at all. But like a family trust existed for a long time, and it's basically this vehicle that has tax and legal benefits to it. Why doesn't everybody do a family trust? Well, as you said, not everybody knows about it, or very few people kind of know. People kind of, like I said earlier, from a real estate standpoint, always hear this three-tier structure. Let's have a parent company, let's have a operating company, and let's have a property management company, right? Like this kind of structure that's out there. And again, I'm not saying that's an incorrect structure. That's not the case at all. But because there's less benefit than there once was with corporations and having corporate structure, tying in a trust has become popular, at least from what we're seeing, because trusts have not seen the same restriction or aggressive, I guess, view from the government. There's more option there, I think, at the moment. And basically that family trust allows assets, money, etc., all to get into it, owned by it, and then when that money or that asset flows out to the beneficiaries of a trust, it's at a much different tax basis, right? So to create the trust, you have a trust agreement, you have something called a settler. They're just basically a figurehead to settle the trust. That's just what they call it. And then you've got the trustees, who are ultimately sort of the administrators. They're in charge of making sure the trust and what happens within the trust is all on the up and up and for the beneficiary's best interest. And so those are the last people you have, is the beneficiaries of the trust. Right. So, yeah.
Love that. Well, guys, pro tip number 3 is talk to your lawyer about a family trust. Is it right for you? And especially with some changes potentially coming in 2022 to those corporate structures, look at the options that are available to you. So we had 3 key points here. Let's review them. So number 1,
GPLP structure, don't get sucked in with the JVs.
Number 2,
make sure you do some planning.
Absolutely. And number 3,
talk to your lawyers and accountants about trust.
Love that. Pro tips. You heard it here first from Ryan Carson, our pro lawyer here for the day. And guys, make sure that if you liked today's video that you throw us some love in the comment section down below, and make sure you smash that like button. And if you want more great Canadian real estate content in 2022, make sure you subscribe to the channel down below, because we are pumping out some killer Canadian real estate investing content quite regularly. And thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.